So here we go. Say hello.
Hello.
Welcome to our very first Sacramento Market Council training, monthly training. And so I'm going to start to share my desktop here.
Great.
And I've got my eyeball on everybody who's not here tonight.
You know,
there we go. That's the life of a Beachbody coach right there. That's awesome. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So retention, how to keep your team active. That is the topic for tonight. That was a hotbed topic for a lot of people, so we decided that we were going to put something together. So this is on coaching motivation. Now, I'm a mental health counselor. That's my background, and an educator, fitness professional, Beachbody coach, yes. So I have a lot of knowledge of psychology of things. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and how you can use the leverage of psychology in your business to keep people motivated. Because really the key to retention is in motivation when it comes down to it. So I'm going to go ahead and skip to the things around here. All right, so our first slide. So we've got a little warm-up. You can tell I was an educator before. So our warm-up is an honesty icebreaker. How many of us is guilty? I'm very busy doing things that I don't need to do in order to avoid doing anything that I'm actually supposed to be doing. How many of us get on Facebook and scroll the wall, even though we know we're not supposed to? How many of us have a tendency to get caught up in the bureaucracy, paperwork behind everything? How many of us will find a million other things to do because if we're working at home, it's really easy to say, I need to do another load of laundry. Oh, those dishes in the sink are really dirty right now, and I need to go do that. Well, here's the key. Your clients, your customers, and your coaches are all doing exactly the same thing. So it's our job as a mentor coach of them, of your team, in order to show them what the correct way of doing things is. So if we model that behavior, they're going to do the same thing. So we need to break some bad habits. It's really what this is about. So what is effective coaching? Well, effective coaching has to do with having a solid team. And being an effective coach means that you have a solid team. So if you get one, you'll get the other. A lot of us also, we tend to, as Beachbody coaches, and I know in my 3.5 years of doing this, I have probably done every bad thing. Well, maybe not every bad thing, but I've done a lot of bad things that I was even sometimes told not to do, and I went and did them anyway. Like just sort of expecting that my team, I did turbo fire without needing anybody to really prompt me on it. So everybody else in my group should, but everybody's at a different level of learning. So effective leaders have a clear vision and are able to communicate that vision to the members of the team. And I think the real key here in the psychology of this is really understanding as a coach. Your job is communicating your vision. If they don't know where you want to take them, they're not going to do anything. I mean, remember getting your first Beachbody box, however that happened, whether you bought it off the internet or you got it through a coach or whatever happened, or you got a bootleg copy of it from a relative or a friend. You didn't really know what you were doing, especially if it didn't come with a book. You were just kind of flying by the seat of your pants with it. And so effective leaders communicate the vision. Where are we going to go? It's not a matter of we don't even need to worry about how we're going to get there, because that might change and it might look like this instead of a straight line. We need to communicate where we want to go. And that's really important. So you develop a sense of urgency about that. You make them excited about getting there. You involve the team members in goal setting and decision making and foster a climate of openness. People want to work for them. People want you to work for them. They have charisma, or they want to work for you because you have charisma. So when I was a teacher back in the day, I used to say that I knew I had a class when they would eat pencils for me. And I never had any class do that. But when I knew that that was the level of devotion that I could just tell them, hey, we're going to do this today because they trusted me and where I was going to take them. So that's really key. So the role of the coach, what do you not do? This is so vital, and I actually have it written on my wall. It is not your job to drag others across the finish line. And I am personally so guilty of doing that on occasion, but it's not your job to do that. If that person doesn't want to cross that finish line, they're not going to do it, and you can't force them to. And if you do, you're wasting your time. It is your job, however, to facilitate, motivate, and model for your customers and your coaches. So it's your job. You've got to show them where you want them to go. You've got to motivate them to get there, and you've got to model that behavior. So it's a big job, but it's not undoable. I'm hearing a lot of feedback right now. I don't know if somebody can mute. Maybe we need to mute the lines. Okay, so coaching starts with you. You set the tone of professionalism, and that's so key, because one of the reasons why I became a Beachbody coach is because when I was a teacher, when I was a mental health counselor, not that I didn't want to have a professional relationship with my customers and my clients, but Beachbody coaching is so much more friendly. We don't have those ethical guidelines of you can't be friends, you can't go out to dinner together, you can't go hang out and go to the movies together or hang out with your kids together. In fact, a lot of us do that at fit clubs. We bring our kids together where we become friends. But the problem is that you still have to separate between being a professional. They need to see you as being the person who is the expert, whether you feel like it or not, because most of us don't. Even those of us with degrees and all kinds of other things, we don't always feel like we know what we're doing. We're kind of flying by the seat of our pants every now and then. But that's part of the trust relationship, is that you set the tone of professionalism. You set the expectations for you and for them based on what they tell you. So Joe says, I want to lose, 10 pounds within the next 6 months. And I say, okay, we're going to set a deadline for that. And I'm going to hold you to that. And if you don't make it, we're going to figure out why. But we're also going to try and hit that goal. And so if their expectations become my expectations, then it's a win-win situation. And you also have to clearly explain the process, like I said earlier. Let them know where you want them to go in the end so that they can make a straight line there. You also model the vital behaviors that you want them to do. Okay? But always remember, and this is the trick, coaching is not about you, it's about them. So you have to form and reform. And this is another thing people do. They form someone, and then what happens to that list? Or what happens to those things? Do we reform them? Sometimes not. Sometimes we just assume that things are the same. But you have to constantly remind them of their motivation. You want to go to your daughter's wedding in July and fit into a bikini? Clock is ticking. Their motivation, not yours, but you're turning it into your way of, it's like they've created the carrot, but you're holding it up in front of them. You're reminding them of that. Goal setting. It's all about their goals. We'll get to that again in a little bit. And then attainment tracking. You have to personalize to them so that they know that it's about them, because you're going to have a million different people who are doing a million different things for a million different reasons. And you've got to be so organized as a coach that you can keep track of all of those people. So great leaders don't set out to be a leader. They set out to make a difference. It's never about the role. It's always about the goal. And if you remember that and constantly, take these, I'll post this up. You'll have access to it. Grab these off the internet, and post them up just as reminders. Be a cheerleader and be a friend. But again, be professional. All right, so I found this, and I actually don't know where it's from. It was just a random picture that I was looking for images while I was doing this, and this one just popped up, and I thought it was beautiful. So I apologize that I can't quote any more than Cotter and Cohen, but creating the sense of urgency. The goal of step one is to raise a feeling of urgency so that people say, let's go. Making a change effort well positioned for launch. So what works in that? What do we do? Well, we show the need for change with a compelling object they can see, touch, and feel. So that's their images. That's why vision boards, journaling, anything that you can get them to put their hands onto and really get that feeling is the show for the need to change. sometimes even just stepping on the scale for some people. We're so quick as Beachbody coaches to just say, throw the scale out and don't do those things. But you know what? Sometimes that scale is the biggest show that somebody might need. I mean, how many times have we all done that? We've stepped on the scale and been like, all right, I got to get back on track again. Even though I understand that the number on the scale isn't directly representative of who I am as a person, it's still showing me that I'm gaining weight instead of losing, or, I'm plateauing and I need to change things up a little bit. So helping them understand that, I think, is a big message. Showing people valid and dramatic evidence from outside the organization. So it's not just about Beachbody. We always want to turn it back. So if you're putting up infographics, one of the things that I see a lot of coaches do is they'll share stuff on the internet. I'm sharing this guy's thing, or I'm sharing this coach's thing. And while it's good to be able to share a little bit now and then, you don't want them to start thinking, oh, maybe that coach is going to be a better coach for me, or maybe that shake or that other thing that's not even in part of Beachbody is going to be a better thing for me. But you also have to show them that Beachbody is a tool and a way that they need to get something. So show them valid and dramatic evidence from outside of your organization too. Don't be afraid to share with them a candid post from one of the top elite, Beachbody coaches showing their income or their trip, or you may not be at that level yet where you can go on a trip, or you can be an elite, or you can do any of those things, but you can use those things from Beachbody to show people how they can achieve those things as well. It's just like success photos for your customers. Looking for cheap and easy ways to reduce complacency. Again, we want to work smarter and not harder. So we want to always remember that Beachbody is not expensive. People say, I love this, Mindy Ford said, people tell me that Beachbody is expensive. And I say, no, it's not. No, it's just so brilliant, because the value in it, we're not talking about cheap and easy in terms of like, cheap protein programs or whatever, but we're looking for cheap, easy in terms of value. We want to create more value for our customers and more value for our coaches and our team. Never underestimate how much complacency, fear, and anger exists, even in good organizations. People are going to get upset with you. Customers might get upset with you. Your coaches might get upset with you. Your upline might get upset with you. That's just part of the game. It may be about you. It may be about them. It may not be, about anything. But you need to be able to just take it in stride. Know that we're just we're all moving in a direction. So, urgency tip. Use a calendar. Use a calendar that you can access and they can access, whether it's a Google calendar or it's a calendar on Facebook, or just a piece of paper that has these are the events for the month of November. This is a training. This is a team call. This is, this is our upline is providing this, or a sideline, or a Sacramento Market Council, and encouraging people to get on these calls and on these webinars and learn the information and get them plugged in. Because a goal is just an idea with a deadline, really, ultimately. So what else do we do in order to maintain people staying in our organization? We prioritize our time. So rank your commitment levels of your folks, your customers and your coaches on a scale of 1 to 5. People who are at a 1, not so committed. That's okay. That doesn't mean they won't be committed later. It just means that hounding them and chasing them down is wasting your time. The people at a 5, on the other hand, they're committed. They're plugged in. They're ready to go, and they want that. So if you don't have the skills to do that, plug them in with somebody that can. Even just plugging them into coach training through Team Beachbody is a perfect way of doing that. Set business hours. I have not followed my own advice in this so many times. I can't even tell you how much this has screwed up my business. I stay up too late. I get up too late. Whatever it is, I don't have the right business hours. I've never missed a meeting before, but you're eventually going to, really mess with your business if you don't set hours. I don't care if it's an hour a day or an hour a week. I don't even care what your business hours are, but set some business hours so people know when they can contact you. And then don't give in to allowing them to access you in non-business hour time. It's not fair to you, and it's not fair to them, and it's not fair to your family. So, if you have to make an exception, make them understand that this is an emergency. This has got to be like your head got cut off because you were doing P90X and you fell and whatever. I mean, it's got to be like something like really super urgent. Model consistency in that. We all fail in the consistency part of things for various reasons, but you have to constantly wake up every morning and think, I've got to do the things that I need to do every day, and then practice your daily tasks. Get a list of things that you do in your business hours that you do every single day that are not going to allow you to procrastinate time. If you do nothing else today, do a power hour. I don't care what else you do a power hour, because that consistency, it's just like the programs. Remember your first program? Did you work out every day? Maybe not, but you got guilty on the days you didn't. And so, or you got up and did it anyway and, didn't regret it in the end. So the secret of getting things done is to act. So you have to remember that. Also, have a funnel system. Keeping people in your organization is so important to constantly have them in some kind of funnel. I don't care if they're like an elite coach under you. There's always a chance that they could just give up one day. So you've got to constantly have them in some sort of like a training funnel, even if it's something above your ability to do for them. Be hooked in and be connected and understand what they're doing. So be organized. 10 in play is probably the first most important list that you need to have going every single day. You need to be looking at your 10 in play list every day and rotating people out like on a weekly basis, really. Prospects, participants, customers, and coaches. And there's different ways you can do this. We're not going to get into that today. But you can use whiteboards, notebooks, online files. I don't care how you do it, but organize your funnel system. Application process. This is so key. And I'm going to show you an example, and it doesn't really give you, in fact, there's my reminder of power. Oh, I can't do that. Well, never mind. What did I do here? Is this going to pull it up? Oh, there we go. Okay. So I have applications for pretty much every level of what I do. So I've got like, even my 7-day free challenges, I have an application that I send people for it because I want to know a little bit about them. And because I'm a mental health counselor and a personal trainer, I know how vital it is for me to have background. So and I can share this with all of you if you want. You've got name, referring coach name, email address, and of course it looks prettier when you send them the actual form. But okay to text, the country that they're in, and then it just has some questions about them. I have some health and fitness goal questions. I have some medical questions on there that are just basic medical, like, are you seeing a doctor? Has your doctor cleared you? Are you taking medication? Is it something we need to worry about? Those types of things are just really important. Then I have nutrition questions on here, sleep, magic wand questions. I mean, everything that I can think of that's just gathering information. This is that forming piece. So, and I've got coach application for people who are prospective coaches of mine. I have them fill out this form. And again, I want them to tell me about themselves so that I know what they're interested in as being a coach. Maybe they just want to be a wholesale buyer, and that's okay. But at least I know because I've got them, I've got their information. So be organized. So your application process will determine the rank, the 1 through 5. My people who aren't so interested, maybe they just kind of try it out. And then my 5s who are like full on, I want to do this, and and I'm going to be your next elite coach. Set initial goals and their why. You all know why the why is important. And then using Google Docs and Dropbox documents allow you to be able to share with them back and forth so that, you can get and give feedback back and forth, and they can see things too. Keeping on track. Keep a file on each client and coach. I don't care how you do it again. Outlook, Excel, file folders, Dropbox, OneDrive, Google Docs. There are personal development trainers who say keep that information on paper. There are a lot of people who want to keep it all on their electronics. It's just really up to you. Create a system and use it. A plan of action, regular assessment, goal attainment, and praise. And I don't know how much I can focus on those enough, because Everybody likes a cookie. Even if it's just, hey, way to go, great job, or you post a picture of them on your Facebook page or in your team group and say, hey, so-and-so just made their next rank level or made their first $5 or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be huge. It can just be, they woke up today and got out of bed and made their bed today. We need to be praising the things that they do and making sure that we're allowing them to understand that we're not going to do it for them, but we're watching them. That's a huge key. And then regular assessment. So coaching is about creating an action plan that moves you forward from where you are to where you want to be. Some of you have done the Covey system. I'm not going to go over it hugely, but this is it in a nutshell. You can also use the Covey system, the Stephen Covey system, for ranking things about, where they're important. Decide when to do it now, dump it, delegate it. The do it now is always going to be your 3 vitals, right? You're always going to do your workout, decide when to do it, and then do it. We're going to press play. We're always going to drink our Shakeology. We're always going to invite. We're always going to do personal development. So we need to be putting those things in here. And then obviously the dump it and delegate it. So again, this isn't a Covey training, so I'm not going to go over that, but there's a million methods out there to use. Methods to motivate. Prizes are awesome, and you don't have to spend a lot of money on it. Cafe Press is relatively, not so expensive. My rule of thumb is I didn't start using Cafe Press and t-shirts and things until I had at least 10 solid people that I was working with on a regular basis that I had, on Shakeology, and we're doing some things. I had some income coming in, and I knew that it wasn't going to break my bank to go ahead and put together a team t-shirt or a team, bag or a cup or whatever. But also team Beachbody bling. As you become a coach for long enough, how many of us have stores of Shakeology or, extra E&E or things that we got that we don't like, or we got something extra, you'll eventually amass some extra stuff. Use that as things to, incentivize people. And it doesn't even have to be stuff. It goes back to that incentivizing. You can incentivize people with just hey, this person did a really great job. Member of the week or month. Success stories. Ask for testimonials. One of the things that I found very early on is people, I don't want to say they're lazy, but if you ask somebody to just do a testimonial, it's not really on their list of things that is really important in their life. So even if they love you as their coach, sometimes you have to give them a scaffolding. So I've actually written up things that are kind of like, some ideas of how they could write it. So it's kind of a scaffold. So they just kind of fill in the blanks. So it's not me writing it, but it's them kind of writing it. Like if any of you have ever had anybody who you've needed a letter of recommendation for, and you kind of wrote the letter of recommendation and just kind of had them tweak it and then sign it, same kind of thing. But those testimonials are so good because it helps them and it helps you, because that gives you a little bit more of a, background. I did this. I created this. I helped these people. Self-motivation tracking. I don't know how important this is either, because again, it's not about you, it's about them. So if you can have the more tracking you can have them do that you can just check, kind of like a teacher, the better off you're going to be. So have them start small, but have them think big. SMART goals, vision boards, goal quadrants, personal reflection and journaling. Those are all really super important things. Okay, moving on here. Have your own support. Again, I don't know how important that I can express that this is as well. How many of us, and here's another honesty check, have not actually participated in a challenge group that we didn't run in a while? And I've been guilty of that from time to time. And I know that when I don't participate, because if I'm running a challenge group, it's a different role. It's kind of the same way as if you're teaching a fitness class. You're not really getting a workout in. I mean, you might be sweating and doing other stuff, but you're really not getting a full workout in. That's not your workout. Your workout is your workout. So you need to always be participating in a challenge group. That models that behavior that you want them to have, so that you can be like, hey, I do it. I check in with my challenge group that I'm not running. I haven't seen you post in 3 days. Where are you at? You can use it as leverage and show them that you're accountable. And it just gives a little extra layer of, I hate to say it, but guilt when it comes down to it. Check out your upline. So many complaints. My upline isn't working, my, whatever. There is no excuse. Find somebody else's upline. Ask the market council. There are a million people out there who can help you do the things that you need to do. Other coaches, non-coach friends, hook up with an accountability partner. These are so important for retaining your own people. You have no idea how being a product of your own product, that's why it's one of the 3 vital features. It's so super important. So surround yourself with the dreamers and the doers, the believers and the thinkers. Most of all, surround yourself with those who see greatness in you, because those times when you're like, oh my gosh, I need to just quit, or I don't know how I can go on and do this anymore, or I haven't gotten Success Club in a couple of months, or I'm not meeting my own goals. Find people that will help you get there, even when you don't see it yourself. Coaches need coaches, for sure. Don't be discouraged. I know that's so hard, but it goes back to having your own support. Follow up regularly and forever with your people and yourself. Forever. That's your job. That's just it. The follow-up, I think, is probably more important, in fact, than any other part of the process. Because they might not be ready now, but they might join another team if you aren't there when they are ready. But don't blow people off. Another mistake, 3.5 years. I don't know how many people that I have gotten into that rut of not following up. I'm so busy inviting that I'm not following up with people. And then I turn around and I find out that, this guy over here went and signed up with another coach, and it was a friend of mine for years, or even family members. I've had family members of mine go pick something else because I wasn't following up with them on a regular basis. So, because you always have to think, if not here and now with us, who are they going to find? Where and when are they going to find it? Are you going to find out that they ditched their P90X program because they weren't getting the follow-up and support that they needed, even when they were kind of flaking out on it, and instead they went and they picked up some other company's thing, or they're out doing some other thing, or Herbalife or whatever. You just never know. Be the coach you need to decide, commit, and succeed. A coach is someone who tells you what you don't want to hear, who has you see what you don't want to see, so you can be who you've always known that you could be. There's should have checked that for grammar a little bit there. But you really need to be the person that if you could imagine your perfect coach, be that person. You don't need somebody else to be that person necessarily. I mean, you need support and you need those other things, but when we're in our deepest, darkest moments and we're thinking, I don't have the support and think about what the people that we're coaching are thinking in those moments. So we've got 5 minutes left, and that's our PowerPoint presentation. Hello, Danielle and Debbie. I'm glad you guys could make it. So we have a few people here, and we've got about 5 minutes left. I'm going to open this up to any questions or comments, or anybody have anything that they, like any aha moments or anything that you do with your group that's a little bit different or that you can add to. I want to hear from you guys. Anybody have anything?
A lot of good information.
Good. I'm glad. Thank you.
Yeah, I was having a hard time keeping up.
Oh, I was trying to fit it in.
Oh, I know.
And this is also our first one. So please, 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 I will not take any offense at all in any way, shape, or form. Give us feedback. Let us know. Let us know things that could have been better, or topics that you wish that we could focus on for future. Things that you really liked, so that we can make sure that we continue to do those things. Those are always good too. But I think with retention, I mean, I'm probably, because I've made so many mistakes, and I have kept retention, but I've also not retention. I've lost, I've maintained between 20 and 30 coaches now for the past couple of years. However, keeping them active, keeping them inspired, keeping them motivated to become real business builders is hard. It's very difficult. And I think the biggest reason for that is because we also have to continue to remind ourselves that, again, just like the very first slide that I shared with you, if we're not modeling that behavior for them, they're going to see that. They're going to feel it. I mean, think back to when you were like in high school. Did you ever have a substitute teacher or a regular teacher who came into the class and just like they were fish out of water? And think about what the class did to that person. You know, that person got eaten alive because teenagers don't have tact sometimes.
Yeah.
So you're going to hear a lot more of that, you know, honest kind of, you know, but they also don't really understand why it is that that person is doing the things that they're doing. So they're just critical, you know, and so your team isn't going to do that to you necessarily because most of us are adults and we don't want to hurt each other's feelings. So what's your team going to do? They're going to check out and tune out and they're going to go do something else, or they're going to go with another coach, or they're going to, you know, not do anything, as a matter of fact. So that motivation has got to start from here, but just remembering that it's not about me, it's about them. What can I provide for them? How can I help them make it up to that next step and up and over? Not dragging them across the finish line, but boosting them up and over so that they are the one that makes the changes, and they're the ones. And they may turn around and say, oh no, it was you. You're the one that did it and you're so wonderful. But really, yeah, you know, that's your role as a coach, is to flip that scale and make sure that they're the one doing the work, not you. So it's a hard job, but it's a fun one. So, and we have about a minute left. Go ahead.
I was going to say, now I have to go up and set up my calendar.
Yep. That's the first priority for sure.
Yeah.
Hi, Kelly. Nice to
Hi,
meet you.
sorry I'm late.
That's okay. Hi, Debbie. I'm glad you guys could make it.
Mm-hmm.
So I've taped all of this. I've recorded, and I've got less than a minute right now. So I'm going to stop recording right now.